Good evening. Is everybody good?
Let me know. Let me know when you're ready.
Good evening. We have had a very good day in Putnam County today as we recover from the tornado damage of early Tuesday morning. First, let me say we were honored to have President Trump here today. He toured some of the worst damaged area. He spoke with a lot of the families and whose homes were destroyed and who lost family members and friends. Governor Lee and our First Lady of Tennessee were also here, along with Senator Alexander and Senator Blackburn. His visit was very well received and seen as uplifting to the families. They all were very appreciative of him coming. He also met with several of our first responders, law enforcement, and folks that have been working tirelessly on the scene to assist all of the victims and citizens of our county. I want to personally thank President Trump for coming to Putnam County. His visit was very encouraging, not only to me and the other elected officials, but to the citizens and the families that were affected. And for that, we are forever grateful, Mr. President. President Trump also approved our presidential declaration of disaster. This opens up FEMA funds to come to our county and our city. We are very thankful for that. With that declaration, we also were awarded individual assistance as part of the FEMA declaration. This allows individual families and victims of the disaster to also apply for federal assistance. We will be posting and putting out a media release tonight with information on how people can apply for that. There's multiple ways. You can go to the FEMA website. There's an app that you can download. There's also a telephone number that you can call. I think FEMA is going to be suggesting that you use the app or the website, which is much faster. We'll also have all that information posted later after this update. Our distribution center is still open for victims of the disaster. It's at 270 Carlin Avenue here in Cookeville. It's open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And also the South Jefferson Avenue Church of Christ has a distribution center that was set up with a lot of supplies, so you can go by there and pick up all kinds of food and water and toiletries and different supplies. Our power companies have had an amazing day today restoring power. As you well remember, Upper Cumberland Electric started out with 5,500 customers without power. Today that has been worked down to only 250. Cookeville Electric has 0 customers without power. Upper Cumberland Electric is still working in the area. Their goal is to try to have power restored to all the customers by Monday morning. They are working heavily in the South Drive, Bloomington Road, Mockingbird Hill Circle, Plunk-Whitson Road, and North McBroom Chapel Road, which were some of the hardest hit areas over the weekend, and they will continue their working night and day to restore the power. We still have 10 people in a Red Cross shelter at the Cookeville First Baptist Church. That shelter will remain open as long as we have a need. Our list of unaccounted persons is still at 0. We have been doing assessment of the damaged constructors as it continued today. Codes officials have been working the area and will continue to work through the area over the weekend. We now have an updated number of over 500 structures that have damage. 32 of those are commercial. We know that there are 120 homes that have been totally destroyed, and we also know that 80 of those 500 structures that I mentioned earlier have major damage. Insurance companies and agents have been working through the area with residents to try to speed up and work through claims. From what I understood, there may have been as many as 175 of the residences' claims have already been approved, and the agents continue to work with those folks. Our landfill has extended hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to have that open 7 days a week until further notice. Also, our garbage transfer station, it will be open with those same extended hours. We're working with FEMA on our debris plan for removal. of debris in the area. Of course, that's for our right-of-ways and the city and county streets and roads. Until that is all worked out, our city and county road departments will continue to work clearing the right-of-ways and the roads. As far as I know, all the roads are open and passable, although that the sides of the roads and areas around the roads may still have a lot of debris on them, but we will be working on those. Starting tomorrow on Saturday morning, volunteers will be allowed in the area, but this is going to be a very organized process. If you would like to volunteer to come and work, we ask that you go to our website, which is putnamcountytn.gov. That's putnamcountytn.gov. Go to Emergency News, and it will give you all the information about signing up. There will be several different ways for you to sign up, so please go to the website. We're asking tomorrow morning if all of our property owners in the affected area would try to be on site by 8 a.m. if they can, because we do not want volunteers going on to the private property and cleaning up and doing things unless the property owners have approved that. So we're asking that all our affected residences, if the owners could possibly be on site tomorrow morning, Saturday morning by 8 a.m. before the volunteers actually go in. If you want the volunteers to help clean up your site, all you got to say is yes, go. And if you do not want to, just politely say no, and they won't. We know we have several of the areas that folks have not been able to go through the debris and to be able to try to find personal belongings and photos and all those kinds of things, and they're still working in some of those areas. So we don't want to do anything that would hamper those efforts. We want our volunteers to be there to help and to not to hinder the area. We know we've already had hundreds of folks that have signed up. We just ask that everyone please understand that we can only allow so many people into the area to be able to be productive tomorrow. And so please don't be offended if you're not chosen tomorrow, but remember there will be many, many, many more days of this to go on. Recovery will take a while, and the cleanup will take weeks. We have had several of our contractors and construction companies that are donating heavy equipment and have been on site in the area. We have had a few problems with some companies going on to individual properties and starting to clean up, and have upset some of those property owners because they have not had time to go through and pick out those personal belongings. So we have started a process starting tomorrow. If you're a company or a contractor that is donating equipment, we ask that you go to the Putnam County Fairgrounds located on South Walnut Avenue. We have a placard system set up that you can get a placard to be able to go into the area. We will be requiring you to give us the information of the homeowner's name and contact information so that we can make sure that you're approved to go into the area. We are so appreciative of all the companies that are wanting to donate equipment to work, but we also want to make sure that we are very protective of our citizens' property and making sure that they do want someone on their property doing the cleanup. So if all contractors, make sure that you go to the Putnam County Fairgrounds tomorrow if you're needing to go into the area. Also tomorrow, we will not be allowing any volunteers into the area that have not signed up and went through our process. We can't have folks just showing up and going in. Then it becomes unorganized and unproductive. So please, if you're wanting to volunteer, go to the putnamcountytn.gov website, sign up. You will be contacted when you are needed to go into the area to be able to work. I'm now going to turn it over to Sheriff Farish for some updates on curfews and so forth. Sheriff Farish.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Our curfew will remain in effect tonight from 7 p.m. till 8 a.m. in the morning. The curfew does not apply to family and members who own property in the affected area. I think there was a little confusion on that at some point. Highway 70, which is our main thoroughfare through the affected area, will remain closed, most likely through at least middle of next week. Law enforcement will continue to make a heavy presence, not only at checkpoints and roadblocks, but as well as side roads coming into that area throughout the weekend. and most likely through at least the middle of next week. Since yesterday afternoon, law enforcement has made 2 additional DUI arrests and 1 drug arrest in the affected area, with people driving up to our checkpoints and wanting to volunteer or just come in to see what's going on. Our temporary flight restrictions is now lifted for the area, so that's no longer into effect. Since yesterday afternoon, around 2 p.m., when law enforcement knew for sure that President Trump was coming into town, all the local law enforcement as well as the state law enforcement has worked tirelessly yesterday and around the clock throughout the night to work with Secret Service to make that happen. It was certainly an honor to do so. It was peaceful and a safe visit, which we all wanted. And in one way or another, while President Trump was here, he visited with almost every first responder that has been down there working. Was certainly a visit and a lift that was needed. I'll be glad to take any questions on anything that yes, ma'am.
I had a question about if schools are scheduled to open on Monday, how is that going to work if Highway 70 is still closed?
That's a good question.
We don't know if they're gonna be open.
We don't know yet, but there'll certainly be contingencies, and I know you're from the area, so there's certainly ways around Highway 70, so we will figure that out, and law enforcement, Sheriff's Office, and Cookeville Police will certainly help make that happen if we have to go assist in whatever areas that is to make the traffic flow.
Do you have any idea of how much the tornado damage costs and how much FEMA could be funding?
As far as I know, there's no limit on what FEMA will be funding. All the disasters that I've worked over the years where we've got federal funding, it's on a reimbursement process. They reimburse 75% of our costs, but there's only certain costs that they pay for, so there's a list of those, but there's no limit as far as I know, and we have not been able to estimate yet. We're still in that process of how much that's going to be, and that could be days yet before we have a good estimate on that. We're keeping up with every one of our expenses, law enforcement, emergency responders, all the cleanup efforts that we have done so far. That comes under a separate section of the FEMA declaration that we are reimbursed for. And then when we start the cleanup process, that's under a separate section, and the volunteers under a separate section. So lots of paperwork to keep up with, but total damage is going to be in the millions, but there's no way yet for us to know exactly how much that is.
Mayor, how do you, if you're a homeowner or business owner, get some of the FEMA money? How do you go about applying or checking your eligibility for that?
We are going to put that up on our website, social media, and those things, and put out a media release tonight. They have an app, they have a website, there's a phone number, and we'll be getting that information out, and then you'll have to contact them and go through the process, and then they'll let you know what you're eligible for.
And can you speak to who qualifies? Do you have to have a certain amount of damage, or how's that?
It's got to be victims of the tornado, property, belongings, and those kind of things. So you would have to be in the affected area and be one of the damaged areas to be able to be eligible. But it's ultimately up to FEMA to make the decision on what you're eligible for. That's not a local decision.
Sheriff, can you talk a little bit about the additional resources you've gotten from as far away as Indianapolis and things like that, and how that may be providing your guys with some relief since we've been working around the clock since Tuesday?
Absolutely. So we counted it up just a few minutes ago. We had no less than 21 other agencies, law enforcement agencies, and that is I'm just speaking from the sheriff's aspect. I know the police department had other police agencies here as well that's not on our list, but so yes, most of the time what happens is we have the checkpoints and the things to do down in the affected area, and so the resources that are coming in is assigned to those spots, and that frees our deputies up to continue to protect and keep safe the good citizens of this county, and answering calls around our area, and manning our command center as well. So that I can't thank those folks enough, and all the sheriffs and the police departments and police chiefs across the state for doing that. Everyone has offered. We have accepted on at least 21 of those. Blount County Sheriff Barone had sent all the way from Blount County today 18 deputies that will be with us throughout the weekend. So I can't tell you how huge that is and to help us.
Is that going to allow your officers to maybe get a little bit of rest? I mean, they want them working around the clock since Tuesday.
Well, what that does is it makes them to get back on the normal shift. So we work 12-hour shifts here in this county. And so they're allowed to get back on the shift. They're still on call, but they're not on call with 4 hours of sleep. And that was what was going on before. The first 24 hours, no one slept. So.
Were each one of you able to have a one-on-one conversation with the president? And can you share just a few more of what you may have exchanged with him?
Well, yes, I got to talk to him for a couple of minutes. I didn't get to travel with him as the mayor did, but very nice man. Very concerned, very sympathetic. We certainly wish he had been able to come here on a different circumstance, but the uplifting was needed. But certainly he was genuine about why he was here.
I was able to tour with President Trump and go to some of the damaged areas, and we had several conversations. He has a huge heart, and it showed today when he was talking to the families of one of the hardest hit areas. We were in the area off North McBroom Chapel Road where I think 8 or 9 people were killed in one area there in one subdivision. A lot of those families showed up today to be there to see him, and you know, he was shaking hands and hugging those folks and listening to their stories, and it was very uplifting to that community, and they were all very thankful. And he assured us that we had the full power of the federal government to work with us, and I have to say, we have had no issues whatsoever so far with state or federal government working with us. It's been a great team effort. You know, our county has been in this search and rescue mode for the last several days since the tornado hit Tuesday morning. It's been very devastating. We've been in mourning for all the loss of life. There comes a point, a turning point, when you start the recovery process and we start rebuilding and we start moving forward. I think that process started today, and I think President Trump brought that to Putnam County, and I think his encouragement was very uplifting to everyone, and I think as we go forward now, we start recovery and rebuilding and mending, and that doesn't mean that we don't still mourn the loss of all those people, the loss of lives and the loss of property, but we have to rebuild and we have to recover, and so I think today was that start. One other thing I want to talk about is our donations. We have been totally overwhelmed with donations, truckloads of all kinds of supplies and food and water, but I have to say that it's getting to a point that we're about to be maxed out with storage space to be able to store this. We had one of our local businessmen, Mr. Gary McNabb, has donated a 25,000 square foot warehouse that we're started setting up today to be able to help store more of this stuff. But we're asking everyone that if you please would call us, email us, or message us before you send anything to make sure that we have room for it. The one thing we don't want to do is take food and supplies here that we're not going to be able to get out to the people. It's not going to be needed, and it could be used somewhere else. So we don't want to be selfish in that aspect. We want to make sure we've got enough for our citizens to be able to take care of them. We have put out truckload after truckload to the citizens, but please contact us and use that email address, helpnow@putnamcountytn.gov. Someone will respond to you, and if it's something that we need or that they can use or we can house and store that we know we're going to need over the next few days or weeks, we're happy to accept it, and we're very appreciative. But please contact us before you send donations. We'd be very helpful. Also, our account, Cookeville Putnam County Tornado Relief Fund. The last word that I got earlier this afternoon was nearing $200,000. which is absolutely amazing, being that we just set that up yesterday. We are so appreciative, and words cannot express our gratitude to everyone that is donating, whether that be financial, whether it be fun, supplies, food, all the many things, the outpouring to from our community and also from around the state and around the country has been absolutely amazing. And there's just not words that I can speak that can tell you how grateful we are to everyone that has poured out to our community. It's been absolutely unbelievable. I also ask that you remember our families in prayer that we'll be holding funerals that are starting this weekend. And that's going to be a difficult time. We've got it's going to take some time to work through this, and our hearts and prayers go out to all those families that are going through that this weekend. Other questions?
Will there be a memorial service for the countywide, once you get past this? Will there be one service that we can all be a part of?
We're talking about that and looking to set that up. We had a vigil at the courthouse the other night, just immediately following that. But yes, that's something we're talking about, of having something, whether that we're looking for someplace to hold that out, whether it be at Tennessee Tech at the Hoop or one of the other large churches or somewhere to hold it at. Yes, that's something we're looking at, and we have a lot of folks that our community is very close knit. A lot of these folks that lost their lives were our friends, family members, acquaintances, and people that we know. Even had one of our city workers. So yes, we'll be trying to schedule something once we get past this weekend and try to get a lot of the recovery on, get into the full force of that now as we start to recover and rebuild.
I'm sure you expected a strong response from the community, but with the number of volunteers and now having to, create storage space for all this, I mean, has it been even more than you would have realistically?
Absolutely, and I think the sheriff would echo, I am so proud to live in Putnam County. It has been unbelievable at the outpouring from our citizens and our businesses and everything they've done. But it doesn't stop there. All across the state, we've had people across the country. I had people contacting me from California, New Mexico, and states all across the country wanting to send donations. We've had companies from all over the country that are donating and sending stuff in. Absolutely awesome and amazing. And like I said, they're just not words that can express our gratitude for the outpouring that we've seen, Sheriff.
That is true. It's all over, not just, as Mayor Porter said, the supplies, but law enforcement as a whole and first responders have reached out. People that I've known in my last 32 years of law enforcement field, as far as Oregon and everywhere, wanting to help and willing to send and coming to help and financial or whatever the case may be. But it's really been everywhere. It's been touching, actually. It's been special to see that kind of support, and we always know that law enforcement has a family. We feel like we are a family. It's more of a calling than it is a job, so it is a family. But people are calling and willing to send help and whatever from everywhere. We don't know a lot of them, so it's touching, really special.
What about the pets? Pets that,
The what? The animals?
Yes, yes.
The Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter has been working with those. We also had a company that was looking at bringing in a trailer to be able to help house some of those pets. I know they've been overwhelmed, but we're trying to take care of those the same as we are our citizens. And so if anyone has a need there, make sure you contact the Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter.
Like people that can they go and just, play with them, love them?
Oh,
let them know
absolutely.
that,
Animal
they're
shelter is open during the week and on Saturday, I know. I think it's closed on Sunday, but it's open on Saturday. They're always looking for volunteers, and they're looking for folks that will come in and help do as you say. And so, yes, please contact them if you're interested. Any other questions? As of right now, we do not have another press briefing scheduled. We'll do that on an as-needed basis. We'll notify you if we have something come up that we need to notify you of. We'll be putting out media releases during the day tomorrow as things go on. Should we have something major come up, though, we will notify you in enough time to be able to do another briefing. Any other questions? If you'd like to see some of the media coverage, I know a lot of you have been covering President Trump's visit to Putnam County today. I know our local PBS station, WCTE, did some special coverage. They're going to be airing on social media and eventually on their channel for our local residents here, so you can be able to go out and look at that. Thank you so much for all the media coverage that we've received to be able to help us get the message out to our citizens. It has made a huge difference, and we are very, very appreciative of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.